Saturated fat, the scourge of our diet, according to the experts. We should stay away from saturated fat, which is primarily the fat that comes in animal fat. Saturated fat is what's supposed to be bad for us, what causes heart disease and all kinds of other problems. But none of this is true. You've been lied to and conned to. The basic biochemistry of the body is such that the body wants to burn fat as its primary source of fuel. And the fat that's in our fat cells is saturated fat. It's animal fat. We're animals. And when you release that fat, and your body burns it as a source of fuel, if it's set up to burn it as a source of fuel, because it can be set up to store it rather than burn it. So what we need to do is manipulate our diet so we burn the fat. Food has two choices. It can either be stored or it can be burned. Food being the food we eat or the food that comes from our body, the fat in our cells. So whenever you lose weight, you're releasing saturated fat from your fat cell and you're burning it. Now how in the world can that be bad for us? How can saturated fat be bad for us if it's what we're going to burn? It can't be. It was all made up. Now, eating saturated fat or fat in the presence of carbohydrates is not a good idea, because that manipulates the body to put everything into storage. So now both the carbohydrates and the saturated fat get stored, and they're not readily burned. Now, how do we know the body wants to burn fat? Well, experiments have been done that tested this, and the researchers set up an animal and exposed its muscle tissue to glucose, which is carbohydrate, to fat in the form of free fatty acids, and these are the fats that are released from your fat cell, and also ketone bodies. Ketone bodies are made from free fatty acids in the liver, and the important point about this experiment is this animal had not been set up to be a strict fat burner, because it takes enzymes inside the muscle to burn the fuel. And there's different sets of enzymes for carbohydrates or for fats and for ketone bodies. So the only way you can optimize this is to have an individual eat a diet that's high in one of these other things, and after a couple weeks' time, the body will maximize the enzymes for that type of fuel. Okay, so anyway, in this experiment, this animal had been pre-treated primarily with carbohydrate feeding, so therefore it was optimized for burning carbohydrates. Well, what happened? Well, only 4% of the fuel burned by the animal's muscle was carbohydrate or glucose. 91% was fat, primarily in the form of ketone bodies. So the order now was the muscle preferred to burn ketone bodies over free fatty acids, and both of them over glucose or carbohydrates. Now the mechanisms by which it does this are complicated. We can get into that in another video, but just to let you know, the body prefers. So when I say the body prefers to burn fat fuel, that's what it prefers to do, because it's set up biochemically to do that. So all these clowns out there that are telling us that the body's principal fuel is glucose are completely wrong. They haven't done their homework, and they're feeding you a lie. So don't believe that. Okay, that's the story on saturated fat as a source of fuel. I'm Dr. Greg Ellis.